Welcome to the Recruitment Leadership Podcast, hosted by Alison Humphries. The Recruitment Leadership Podcast is here to help those in the recruitment industry gain awareness and understanding on the hot topics faced by those in the business of hiring people. In each episode, Alison Humphries is joined by a fellow expert to offer professional knowledge, insight and advice on the biggest subjects affecting recruitment businesses. It's the podcast to listen to for recruitment business frontrunners seeking expert information from industry-leading advisors. Welcome to the Recruitment Leadership Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Recruitment Leadership Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. And for anyone who's a first-timer, please do hit subscribe. You will find a big back catalogue of recruitment leadership podcasts, and we cover everything from thought leadership to exciting new suppliers to the industry to shifts in what recruitment business owners are doing. Everything is very actionable and very practical for those who own and run recruitment businesses. So I'm Alison Humphries, your host, and I'm joined today by Blake Carter. Hello, Blake.
Hi, Alison. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. And thank you for joining us. Blake is the founder and also Sales and Partnerships Director of VOAI. And that's V for Victor, OAI.
That's right.
Because no one will ever work it out otherwise.
No one knows how to pronounce it, so we made it up. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Blake has developed what I think you will find is a phenomenal AI-led product for recruitment business owners and indeed hirers, direct hirers. His ideal client profile is recruitment agencies and corporates who handle high volumes of inbound candidate activity. And that it doesn't have to be inquiries, it can be screening, reg, or compliance. Yeah. But if that's not you, please don't switch off, because one of the reasons I wanted to share this with you on the podcast is because I met Blake at a networking event recently, and I was blown away by how advanced the product that he's going to demonstrate to you was, and just how far AI has come on since the first product became pointed at the recruitment industry, which was a relatively short time ago. So yeah, it's the quality of what he's doing that I think will possibly open up new horizons for even smaller recruitment businesses who are on a different place in their journey. So Blake, you've been in recruitment before you founded this business.
I have.
Tell us why you felt the world needed VOAI.
When I first started in recruitment, I actually worked at a company called Guidance Global. Mel Forbes actually gave me my first job. I was in doing phone screening, and that was my specific position. And I was screening multiple candidates every day. But there was an inefficiency with the phone screening. Ultimately, I was spending hours and hours talking to maybe 3 or 4 candidates at a time. It was a kind of a position that, though I enjoyed it, wasn't very helpful at the end of the day. If I was only able to get through a list of 4 or 5 every day, having 5-hour conversations, it got to a point where, it would take me months to get through a list, which obviously isn't helpful for the candidate. Ultimately, if they're trying to look for a job and there's only myself doing these phone screening calls for, multiple recruiters, the consultants, then we weren't achieving anything. Ultimately, if you actually think about the ROI behind that, the amount of money the company would have been losing based off that, but also the amount of candidates that weren't getting placed, and we're realistically going to another agency trying to get placed elsewhere. So my first job was in phone screening. I did branch out a little bit differently into background checking as well, reference checking again. Noticed different inefficiencies within the reference checking area as well. But that's actually how we built the system. We built the system based off the knowledge that I experienced when I was a recruiter. And I use recruiter as a loose term there. I was only in recruitment for about a year. I'm definitely not a great recruiter. I don't think you want me to work for any recruitment companies out there listening. I think I'm a bit soft for recruitment. But yeah, that's why we built our system. We built our system to bridge the gap. There's a gap within the recruitment space of screening candidates. How do we put something in place? It doesn't have to be AI, but how do we put something in place to enhance that journey, make it faster, make it easier? How do we, instead of spending an hour on a phone call with a candidate, how do we, call 500 at the same time, having 500 different conversations to get them to their end journey faster? So.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, now this is my 40th year in the recruitment industry, and I don't think I have ever known a time where right across the board, regardless of sector specialism, recruitment business owners have been more concerned about profitability and return on investment, right?
Yeah.
And that's one of the things, I'm going to put it to you, that those who have adopted some AI and to some extent automation as well into their recruitment process, have not yet been able, they're having some challenges in being able to point to clear return on investment for that. And then that's complicated, isn't it? Because the other part of this equation, apart from the pure financial calculation, because it is an initial investment from companies that have very often, spent up their reserves already. But the other part of that is the whole customer experience. And what we've seen so far, if I'm really honest, it hasn't led to improved customer experience. So you're established now. You have several clients, many of whom will be well known to our listeners in recruitment. I'm wondering if you can point to any specific examples of using VOAI and getting great ROI and even improved customer experience. Is that too big an ask?
Yeah, no, it's fine. And I'll talk about the case study in just a second that we've got, a great one in Malaysia. But to talk about actual AI in terms of ROI, most companies won't get an ROI at the start. The best way to think of AI is it's like you having a newborn. Okay, you've got a child, you've got to develop that child, you've got to teach it, it's got to learn from you, and then it grows. It's not going to take you 18 years to learn and grow, a child. Essentially, you're actually building an AI, but you're making it learn and understand your role within 6 months. That's, the best case scenario. But then you also can make it an expert at what it knows within a couple of weeks. Now, most companies don't see an ROI in AI because they're either utilizing it incorrectly. And when I say that, I mean AI should be used for candidate-facing roles only. It should be used for speaking to candidates, having conversation, streamlining that process, but not specifically using it for calling clients and trying to get them to come on board.
Right. So you're saying, but at the moment, anyway,
where we are on the
for
journey.
Outreach to clients, yes, for inbound to
100%
candidates.
for inbound for candidates facing, even outbound to candidates, but ones that aren't expecting that phone call, that's absolutely fine. It can still work in that capacity. We do it every day. But if I was outbounding a cold call, for example, to a client, naturally, that's where most people are using it because they don't want their current people reaching out and trying to build more relationships. They want the AI to do that. That's the problem. Because getting a cold call from a person, no one likes that. Getting one from AI is 10 times worse.
But just drill down on that for a minute.
Of course.
What is it specifically that makes you think? Because I've seen what VOAI can do, and I know our listeners are going to be really keen to see this. That says no to client outreach, because this is very real and very personalized, isn't it?
It's very real and very personalized. It's very new in the process. Right now it's been built specifically for candidates. It's perfect for touching base with them because at the end of the day, there's more candidates than there are clients. So you need to be able to speak to candidates faster and easier. Whereas a client, they want that relationship. That's where the people come involved. That's why there's that current stigma of AI is going to replace people. That's not even remotely true. The truth behind that is you need to move the people from an admin-faced role from a phone screen position to a client-facing position. Let them talk to the clients and build that relationship. Let the AI handle the admin work. So they can do the first 50% and then pass it over. That's how you build more ROI. Where the AI gets it done, people take over, build the relationship, enjoy have that kind of face-to-face.
Right. And we do know interestingly from SIA data, I think SIA and the WEC, that although the recruitment industry is having a tough time, we do know that candidates and clients really value that hand-holding approach when they have a specific recruitment need, or a work seeking. Because it's a fairly soul-destroying process now. And if you look particularly at, for example, more entry-level positions where people are expected to, perform through 6, 7, 8 different stages before there's anything personal happens to them, and many of them are extremely disengaged with that. And of course then perversely what happens is they fire off multiple applications to jobs they have no interest in, just to see what happens. It's a very, very faceless process. So just looping back to my question, the personalization element is critical, isn't it, if we're going to not throw that advantage away as an industry?
The idea is, how do we make the candidate feel comfortable throughout the whole journey? Because it is quite a vulnerable position to put yourself into, to look for a job and then having to be rejected or not ever hear back from a recruiter, for example, or whatever that process entails. That's why the tech that we built is essentially first conversations with AI. And every update until that interview is AI. Even when they get to the interview, the AI talks to them again. Because what they're doing is they're building a relationship with that AI. They're having a conversation with it because they know they're getting that response. Even post-interview, post-placement, they're still talking to the AI. The client-facing side of things, the human element should be used to speak to them and be like, hey, look, this is where the candidate's at. This is the journey. They're kept in the loop. They're talking. We know their salary expectations, everything. And now the client's happy, the candidate's happy. The idea is, how do we make the candidate, enjoy the experience as well? You think about, I'm going to put myself in this position. When I was a candidate, I applied for hundreds of roles I had no idea I applied for. And, I used to get phone calls from recruiters saying, hey, you applied for this job. I had to make it up as I went along, pretend that I knew exactly what they were talking about. Because I applied for hundreds of these jobs, because all I wanted was a job. But I never heard back. The amount of emails I got saying like, they weren't successful, but I didn't know why I was not successful. The AI doesn't do that. The AI says, look, you weren't successful because, and they would go through the reasons.
Okay, got it. Right. Okay. So personalization and value for the candidate. And also people are used to accepting AI in many other aspects of their lives, aren't they?
Definitely.
But I think what you're saying is, in terms of business development outreach, we're just not there yet.
No, not yet. I think we're about.
We may never be, but
possibly never. I think there'll be. I've got some clients now who do it, but it's not there yet. It's good. It's just that the thing is this: the agent can do it. The AI can make those outbound calls. It can have conversations with people, but it's not that. The AI can do one side, but the other 50% doesn't want to reciprocate. So it's exactly. Not. The issue is more about the client ultimately just wants to have a nice conversation with a person. That's absolutely fine. Doesn't matter how human sounding my AI becomes. They always want that relationship. They want to be, met in person. They want to go for a coffee. That's something that AI can't do. But then you take about the actual company that utilized the AI. That person, that company, the leadership team, they have a very strange stigma of, they want, if the AI is making phone calls to clients, there should be better results. No, well, the AI has the exact same chance a person has. Because if I make a phone call as a person and they don't answer, it's the same as the AI. They just weren't around on their phone at the time. So the idea is, there's, until AI is more advanced in the future, maybe it will never be, to talk to clients. But I personally will always stand by, this is a candidate-facing AI.
Before we go into the demo, you were going to just tell us about a case study?
Case study, yeah. So we have an amazing case study. I won't mention the company, but a recruitment company based in Malaysia and Tokyo. But it's a medical recruitment company, recruiting for nurses, doctors, and admin staff. The idea was, how do we improve the operations? How do we improve the resolution of automation? And how to scale with fewer staff?
Okay.
So we ran a test originally the first 2 months, and then now it's been put in place. We moved all their resources, admin staff, receptionists, everyone into different positions. We actually promoted every single one of them into more roles. They got higher salaries because we used that increase of the investment of AI to increase their salaries. So in that term, great ROI already. They were really happy. In the sense of AI, we were able to use it for reception, use it for phone screening candidates, but on a large scale. So we were calling about 10,000 candidates every 3 days. We were
10,000. Okay.
10,000 every 3 days. Yeah. So high turnover of nurses, high turnover of reception staff, or, admin people at hospitals or doctor surgeries, whatever it may be. It was, that's what AI is perfect for. It's high turnover of individuals that need to go through. So what we did was we actually increased for the phone screening, we increased operation efficiency by 4 times what they were doing beforehand. So that's basically streamlining that candidate, engagement, the client communication, the admin process. If you talk about client calls and candidate calls, in terms of AI, the AI was then able to handle up to 45% of the inbound calls. So all the inbounds that are coming in, AI handled it, answering FAQs, freeing up all the consultants to do their client-facing position meetings. 6 months later of what we're doing, they've actually seen a 200% growth in candidate volume, operating with only 50% of the original resourcing team. So we've actually put some people back in the resourcing.
You're talking about in successful screening.
Successful screening, yeah. And these are 200% growth in candidate volume. So 200% have now come back through, and we've now seen. Now, I'm not saying every single candidate is being placed, of course not. But in terms of the candidates that we're getting, they're actually able to place them faster, smoother. They're actually having a much better result. And we've sent out a Survey Monkey to all these candidates that had an interaction with the AI. 97% of them came back and said they had a great relationship and conversation with AI. Only 3% said, you know what, I want to transfer to a person. And that was absolutely fine. That's always going to happen. But to be honest, we thought the results would be a lot lower. But the fact that 97% were really happy to have that conversation with AI is amazing. Puts us in a position that we can then use. It puts us in a marketing position to say, like, you know what, this is, we can hold on to this and use this for other, companies then.
Okay. So case in point then, that these people know they're dealing with AI, but if the quality is good enough and it doesn't force you down an overly restrictive sort of menu, then actually people can feel like they've had a relationship with that, which is an extraordinary thing. Now, look, I know our listeners will be wanting to see your demo. I do have questions for you about what's involved in implementation, but perhaps we'll save those till after we've seen it.
You're up to you. Yeah, I'm absolutely fine with that. Absolutely fine to show the system. And
over to you.
So what I'll do first is I'll show, hopefully you can see my screen. I'll show the new website, because our AI is actually very much embedded in the AI in this website. So everything you do within the website is AI is controlling it. So I'd like to go down and show you, first of all, thank you for all our amazing partners that are part of the company. But this platform is really specifically about is me explaining to you, is me telling you a story about how AI is built. Because at the end of the day, if you're investing in AI, you need to know how it's built, what it entails of to get there, and what entails of maintenance and keeping it updated. Whereas a person, you know what you're going to get with a person. So if you ever want to click through and have a look through the website, you can have a chat with the voice interactions. We can talk about web agents and voice outbound and inbound agents. We can talk about analytics, voice to text, and text to voice. Very important thing about AI. Now, people always ask us, why is there a large cost when it comes to integrations? And we can talk about that after. But the short version of it now is there isn't actually most companies, there's a per minute charge. That's how it works. It's like a phone contract. You have a per minute charge or an unlimited package, similar to AI. We don't have a per minute charge really, unless you use it with a non-integration system. The voice to text bit is we have a phone call, and that voice turns to text, and that text turns into what we call tokens into your CRM. It's populating fields saying salary expectation, name, number, email address, why they're looking for this position. That's where the cost comes in. But we obviously subsidize a large portion of that. So you never get hit with a large bill.
Right. And just before you move on, Blake, so you are integrated with all the major CRMs.
Yeah, Bullhorn, Vincere, Zoho. We're doing one right now with Firefish. Yeah, so very much heavily involved.
Excellent. Okay, thanks. Carry on.
So as you go through, we got, you can start tracking sentiment analysis. Now, people might not understand what sentiment analysis is. Sentiment analysis is basically emotional tone behind AI. It's describing what made a good phone call and what made a bad phone call. How did the candidate feel? How did they actually emotionally feel during that phone call? The AI is actually not just talking to them, it's actually tracking their vocal vibrations. Is the candidate, do they sound upset? Do they sound angry? How does the AI adapt to the ability of having that conversation? So they call the candidate, they sound upset. The AI says, you know what? I've been programmed to run a phone screen, but I'm not going to do that right now. Let me give you an hour or 2 hours, or let me call you back tomorrow. Let's reschedule this phone call and have the conversation then when you feel better. While I'm here, is there anything I can do with you that help you with? So the AI, though it was programmed to do phone screening, we've given it emotions. So it ultimately can actually talk to the candidate and say, is there something I can help you with to make you a bit happier? That AI will sit, even though it was built for phone screening, it could sit on that phone call with that candidate for the next 4 hours, acting as a mental health consultant if it had to. It's been built to be known
my
as
goodness.
as a powerhouse agent.
Extraordinary. And it's a luxury that not very many recruiters can afford.
Yeah, most consultants can't sit on that phone call for 2-3 hours talking to a candidate ultimately because and I would feel nervous talking about it. Your boss is going to be staring at you, so you don't want that. And also, you're not going to be able to hit your goals and things like that. So there's always that kind of fear.
Right.
AI is built to do that.
But the recruitment business has some control over how sensitive your
Exactly.
AI is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can. When we build this tech, it is a blank canvas, and our amazing engineers and developers come and sit with you, and they say, "Tell me exactly how we're going to do this. How are we going to build this phone screen? Do you want it also to talk about mental health? Do if they have a problem with sadness or they're angry or there's something going on? Do you want the AI to sit on that phone call and talk?" 90% of the time, they always say yes. They always say, "Yeah, look, it'd be good to have that involved in the AI. It doesn't cost extra. We just put it in anyway." In fact, most of the time we put it in. Because we think every AI that's talking to a candidate, doesn't matter what the situation is, should be able to have any other difficult conversations it can.
Okay.
So it should always have that emotional intelligence.
I think a lot of our viewers here will be thinking, well, how can it interpret that if people are not speaking they're speaking in another language and so on?
Easy.
And I know you're going to show us that. So please carry on.
Yeah, absolutely. And then amazing example, we'll go into how we can test that if they're emotional with the language capabilities. So, if you want to check out some of our testimonials as well of current payroll companies that are already using our system, we've got some payroll companies, we've got some recruitment agencies based in the US, we've got some ones in Japan. That's actually the one that we spoke about a minute ago, without giving away the name, even though it's there. And some of our partners as well. So we've got some amazing testimonials on here as well. But what I'll do is I will go through some features. So we have some really cool features in this demo. So the demo, just so everyone knows, is our website, and we'll go into the dashboard shortly. You can do call transfers, and the call transfers is really cool. A call transfer essentially means we're phone screening a candidate. We're having that really nice conversation with them. They're perfect for the AI is actually looking at the website going, do you know what? This person matches perfectly with the job that we got advertised. Let's transfer them straight away to the team now. We call it a warm transfer. We put that candidate on hold. We call the recruiter and say, hey, this is what we're talking about. They're matched perfectly with the position available on the website. Let me transfer that call over to you now. No worries. Great. Transfers the call. So there's no downtime. There's no, great, we'll call you back in 2 weeks. No, straight away. Straight in there. We even talk about it. We go through the functionality. We talk about how to configure this yourself. If you needed to learn, these configurations are if you wanted to do it yourself. But this is also how we do it. This is exactly what we do for you. So there's no special case here. We have web agents and booking appointments and batch calling, branded caller ID. Branded caller ID is really cool because if you think about getting a phone call, you don't want it to say scam likely, right? You get that with AI. Now, most companies will say this. When an AI calls you, it will say scam likely. It will either be someone trying to sell you something or it will be AI. We actually have something on here now which tells you why you should have branded caller ID. But the reason what it looks like is we talk about, okay, if I go down here, essentially it'll come up on your phone saying VOAI is calling you, for example. It will say the recruitment company is calling you, whatever your name is. So at the same time, a client or candidate will be able to see that and actually feel better about that phone call. Even post-nap call analysis, a great system as well to have. So because we can actually tap into most CRMs, but we can also tap into job boards. So we can actually do things like we can tap into Indeed. We can pull candidates. We can source them. We can screen them. And then once we've screened them, we can do a post-call analysis. So we can check things like, how do we track things like how the sentiment was, or the emotion behind that phone call was, or the language that we used, and go into really in depth of what kind of analysis we're trying to pull, what kind of data are we trying to match up with. So that's the current data that we use. If you want to go into use cases, we've got re-engagement phone calls. So re-engaging a database, an amazing tool that people use our system for. We've got 500,000 candidates in the system, maybe 100,000 have been spoken to in over 6 months. What do? We haven't got the capacity to call all of them. No worries. We just get the AI to call them either in one day or spread it out over a couple of weeks or months. We have an actual recording. You can click on this and have a conversation with it, or listen to it, sorry. And it's, you can actually hear what it sounds like. A phone screening call or an ongoing support. An ongoing support could be what I mentioned before. Post-placement care. Hey, I don't understand my payslip, or hey, who's my boss, or these agents are tapped into your CRM, so they're pulling data from the CRM. So if it's in the CRM, it knows exactly what to answer. If they say, hey, I'm based in London in Oxford Street, where's the best sushi spot? Great, the AI is going to tell you exactly where it is. It's going to tell you the best. It's going to give you some recommendations on what to order. The best way to think about AI is think of it like having your own PA. It's having your own PA tapped into your phone forever. You never have to answer another phone call again. The AI is going to do it for you.
Okay, so what you're saying here is this AI goes way beyond this an automated screening process, because it is AI, right? And therefore, the candidate who's lucky enough to get one of these calls can in fact treat it like a recruiter that it might have
every day. In fact, when the candidate's placed in their job, they actually get given a mobile number. And that mobile number, though is connected to the company, is their own PA, their own AI assistant. So if they ever had a problem, then instead of having to call the recruitment company and say, hey, I don't understand, I wasn't paid today. All right, no worries. Well, they can actually call the AI and say, hey, I wasn't paid today. And they go, no worries. It goes into the system. It finds out why they weren't paid, and can either, let's say it was a payroll system, they could actually approve the timesheet. They could tap in and find out, okay, they weren't paid in the CRM because the recruiter left a note saying they didn't submit their timesheets correctly. No worries, the AI will tell them why, but then it'll say, like, get to a computer, call me back again, and let's do the call again. And then I'm going to run you through how to submit it.
Your CRM, it will attempt to answer the question, right?
It will always attempt to answer the question. If it knows how to answer the question, and we've built it that way, it'll always answer the question. If it doesn't know the question, doesn't know the answer, it will say, look, really appreciate the question. What I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer the call to a person so they can answer the call for you. Or I can put you on hold for a second. I can call the recruiter, get the answer, and I'll speak to you in about 5 minutes.
Okay. I know a few people who have been staying in the office on a Friday night, and they dread the phone ringing when people haven't been paid. Nobody wants to answer that phone call.
It's definitely a way to think about having that 24/7 support. You never have to stay at late nights anymore. No more Christmas Day teams. There's no more panic on Boxing Day where everyone's being paid.
Opening my mind to all the things and types of requests that you could deal with through this.
AI is a very exciting tool, and obviously we've specifically for recruitment and payroll, but AI can be used in any capacity you want to. You can use it for pretty much everything. But obviously, if you can enhance the candidate experience for recruitment, is not just phone screening. We're building super agents. We're saying, how do we make this agent not just a screener, but a resource? How do we make them a consultant? How do we make them have emotions? And how do we make them feel? How do we actually make sure that the candidate has a relationship with the AI? We've actually had situations now where the candidate will call the recruitment company to ask them a specific question that the recruiter's asked, and they'll actually reference their AI friend. They'll say, hey, by the way, Archer, my AI, has said the other day that, I've got to basically ask you a few questions. And then the recruiter will say, yeah, great, thanks for bringing that up. And actually the AI is actually reminding the recruiter just to let you know you're going to be talking about this. So it's actually just enhancing the whole journey, which is very cool. I'm going to go to pricing now because I'm very transparent with pricing, but I'm also going to go into the calculator, which is really helpful. These are our fixed pricings. We do actually have a £2,000 package for one agent. So everyone freaks out. Everyone freaks out about the price sometimes. There is a reason behind these pricings. Now, first of all, we are always going to be cheaper than a person. Because obviously if it's 3,000, you're getting 2 people, essentially, the best way to think about that. But those 2 agents can do the job of 500 people. So though these costs may sometimes, we have some clients who freak out about it, that's absolutely fine. But if you go down a bit further, we have a calculator, and this explains why our costs are the costs. We have LLMs, a large language model, which is ultimately just the best way to think about it is imagine you're tapping into a book or the internet. Essentially, you're tapping into a model that's been built for understanding that specific language. Language, I mean, like we can build a recruitment language, for example, that knows everything about recruitment. So we're having a massive LLM. So you can chop and change between your LLMs. Now, everyone gets excited in the recruitment world. I get asked this every day. I want to use GPT-5. I would highly advise not using GPT-5 because it doesn't match well with voice agents. It's great for ChatGPT, horrific for voice. It doesn't sound normal. In fact, there's about a 4 or 5 second delay in conversation, which would ruin the conversation. But we have these pricing calculators because you could come in here and say, look, I'm going to spend about 5,000 minutes a month. I'm going to use Gemini. I'm going to use 11 Labs, and I'm going to use a voice customized solution or a custom. So a custom telephony would be your 8x8 or your VoIP system. You can say I've got 1 agent. Now you've got this cost here. You'll say I've got £2,500 is my quote. You can take that quote to me and I will charge you exactly that. I'll never go a penny over, but I'll probably charge you less because I might say to you, I'll suss out exactly what you're trying to achieve, and you might be using the wrong LLM, and the agent that we're trying to build might be a lot smaller than you may think. So that might not be $2,500, it might be 1,500. So it's always good to come to me with a quote, because then I can take that quote and always give you less. And at the very, very minimum, that is the most you'll ever pay. But if you go down, we break it down in terms of what the LLMs entail of what it costs. So you can do the default version, or we can just do speech to speech. So we can talk about if you utilize voice providers, 11 Labs is a great tool. OpenAI, 8 cents per minute. We talk about the kind of LLMs we use, the telephony pricing. Cool add-ons, we call this the shopping list. If you want to add things on, like knowledge bases, how much information do you want the AI to know? Batch calling, branded caller ID. So we're really enhancing everything. So we're basically telling you there is so much you can add within AI, but it's always best to start small and go big. Never go big and go small. It doesn't make sense. AI is so new. You need to be very, very patient with it. I always think when you have a conversation with us, speak to our engineers, see exactly what you really need, start there, and then we can adapt. We can start adding on more features. Then naturally people get excited. They think about the endless possibilities. Let's build mental health agents, accounting agents, finance agents. Let's just start with 1 agent and go from there. We have chat agent add-ons like SMSs, phone numbers, verified phone numbers. There's a lot we can do. And then we go through, it goes further. The further you go down, the more niche we get. We can compare plans, web agents to voice agent.
So Blake, I can see that the possibilities here are almost endless. And I feel like I would need someone to guide me through all this shaping.
Always.
But I know what people will first of all want to hear, and that is, what does it sound like to a candidate?
Yeah, and that's what we should do now. I'll run a role play. I'm going to use hospitality as an example because I'm a hospitality grad. I know a bit about it. And what I'll do is I'll go into the agent so we can hear the agent, how it sounds like and what it can do. If you put your thumbs up if you can hear the agent when it talks. If not, I'll reshare the screen.
Welcome to VOAI support. How can I help you today?
Hey, Archer, I was wondering if we could run a role play.
Sure thing. Before we jump into a role play, could you tell me your name and the company you're calling from?
Yeah, it's Blake, and my company is ABC Recruitment.
Great to meet you. Blake from ABC Recruitment. What kind of role play would you like to run today? For example, a candidate screening, a client demo, or a recruiter objection handling session?
I'm going to pretend to be the candidate. You're going to pretend to be the recruitment consultant, and you're calling me about a hospitality job. You can make up the job if you want.
Hi, Blake. I'm the recruitment consultant. I see you're interested in a hospitality role. Could you tell me a bit about your experience in the hospitality industry?
Yeah, so I actually did a degree in hospitality. I did a couple of years as a restaurant manager and a couple of years as a waiter.
That's a solid background, Blake. Could you share what kind of hospitality role you're looking for now? Perhaps a managerial position, a front of house role, or something else? Also, what's your preferred location and salary range?
Yeah, so I'm looking for a restaurant director position, and I'm actually looking for £50,000 a year.
Thanks for sharing that, Blake. Just to make sure I've got the details right, you're aiming for a restaurant director role with an annual salary target of £50,000. Could you let me know which city or region you're targeting and whether you're open to relocation or prefer to stay within a specific area?
So the agent is going to run that conversation. It's going to keep that going until it's going to grab those details, the salary expectation. As you can see, it confirmed the details because as it goes through, the AI has been customized to say, I'm going to ask 3 or 4 questions, get their answers, and then I'm going to reevaluate exactly what they just said so I don't miss anything. And then it's going to continue. It's going to always go back and forth. But what I'll do now is I'll test out the language capabilities as well so people can hear what it sounds like if we were to, on that emotional side if they didn't speak that English.
Great. And then when you've done the language thing, Blake, would you mind letting our viewers observe how it deals with the emotion thing for us as well?
100%.
Thanks.
Welcome to VOAI support. How can I help you today?
Archer, I was wondering if you can tell me more information about what you can do within phone screening, but tell me in German.
Hallo, gerne erkläre ich dir, was ich bei Telefonscreenings für dich tun kann. Ich kann Kandidaten anrufen, ihre Grundqualifikationen prüfen, Gehaltsvorstellungen abfragen, Verfügbarkeit ermitteln.
Actually, talk to me in French instead.
Bonjour, je suis Archer, votre agent VOAI. Avant de commencer, puis-je savoir votre nom et le nom de l'entreprise pour laquelle vous appelez?
And Archer, talk to me in Chinese.
你好，我是 Archer VOAI 的前线 AI 语音代理。请问您叫什么名字？来自哪家公司？
So I was going to talk in language. Now, if you take about that language issue, so talk about phone screening. When you talk to a candidate, how many times, and I know many listeners will listen to, won't admit to it, but it's true. How many times have they spoken to a candidate where they haven't spoken perfect English, and because that recruiter doesn't speak their language, has somehow magically that candidate's been lost in the system, or they didn't get the job because there was language. Now, we're not blaming the consultant. Now, sometimes it might be an English-speaking role. So it might be that they're not fit for this role, but they could be perfect for another role. But they get lost in the database. Now, imagine being able to have an AI call them and saying, hey, listen, I can understand that there's a different language that you might be able to speak. Is there another, it says here on your CV, for example, you're from Germany. Would you like to speak in German? No worries at all. They have a conversation in German, in fluent German. That data comes back and then it filters out into their CRM and saying, hey, just let you know, it's filters out in English. It says, we spoke in German. So going forward, maybe I should do all the talking. And then the AI is then customized to talk to that candidate about their experience going forward.
Okay. So can you show us that, the emotional reaction, Blake?
Of course.
So if you were a not very enthusiastic candidate, for example.
Yeah, hopefully I have this customized to do it, so we'll see.
Welcome to VOAI support. How can I help you today?
Archer, I'm absolutely fuming in the moment. My consultant won't get back in touch with me.
Hi there, I'm Archer. Before we dive in, could you tell me your name and the company you're calling from?
No, I'm a candidate, Archer. I'm not happy.
I'm sorry you're feeling frustrated. Could you share your name and the company you're applying to? That will help me look into what's happening.
Yeah, my name's Blake, and I'm applying for ABC Restaurants.
Hi, Blake. Thanks for sharing that. I'm sorry you're feeling frustrated. Let's see what's happening with your application. Could you tell me the email address you used to apply so I can check the status for you?
No, it's not really about the email though, Archer. It's about the fact that the recruitment consultant wasn't. I don't think they're treating me with respect.
I'm really sorry you're feeling disrespected, Blake. To help me understand what happened, could you tell me the name of the consultant or agency that reached out to you? That way, I can see where the communication might have broken down.
And then it's going to go down that route. What it's going to do is it's going to ultimately do 2 things. It's going to, first of all, find out what happened because it wants to get the result done for you faster. It's been customized and built for that reason.
So it's going to find that out from your CRM. It's going to say, you did have a callback, but that recruiter is unfortunately off sick or something.
Exactly. Whatever the data is. So let's say I had a call scheduled, but the recruiter never called me because he was sick. That's fine. The AI, I'm frustrated as a candidate. I called the AI, what's going on? The AI goes into the CRM. It says, yep, I can actually see that so-and-so was off sick that day. So there's no issue done there. I'm really sorry that you didn't get a phone call, but I can actually help you while I'm here. What information were you going to be speaking about? Alternatively, I can actually tap into the system and find out what the questions that the recruiter was going to talk about. It's going to try and get you the answer first. And then if you're still a bit angry, the AI is going to say, well, look, let's talk about it. What specifically are you angry about? Are you angry because you didn't get a phone call and you told you were going to get a call? Or is it because something else is happening? If you said something else was happening, the AI is going to say, great, talk to me about what's happened. What's triggered you to get, a bit angry today? Let's just see if we can calm this down and see if I can help you out in any way. And the AI is going to stay on that phone call as long as you need them to be on that phone call, and hopefully be in a position where you can have a nice conversation at the end. In terms of the actual phone agent itself, obviously being able to detect the emotions behind the phone call. So the AI is obviously to tap into the CRM, pull that data, correspond with the candidates to let them know exactly where that went wrong, and obviously sit on that phone call until they're happy. Ultimately, that the agents that we build are always customized to be able to have those in-depth conversations. Now, the interesting about AI is I actually didn't set my AI up on my website to do that phone call. I didn't set it up so it can do that, to have that in-depth conversation. But because it's tapped into an LLM, the AI has been programmed to be able to have that conversation if it needs to. Now, if I set guardrails up and said, look, if someone talks about any angry or an emotional conversation, you don't have to have that conversation. The AI wouldn't. Well, if they customize it and say you don't have to have that conversation, the AI will still do it because it's programmed to try and help. But if you set a guardrail up and say definitely don't talk to the candidate about anything emotional, or don't give them advice, the AI will say, look, really sorry, I can't help you there. Now, thankfully we've never had a client who wants to do that, where they want the AI to help them. And that's the way we should build agents.
Right. But you could, for example, say, if the candidate expresses any dissatisfaction, then automatically transfer this.
100%. As soon as that, if they detect anger or sadness and they've tried fixing it, but it's not being resolved, the AI can say, look, what would be better is I will just I'll put you on hold, transfer the call over to the team. They'll take it from there. So you don't have to talk to me if you don't want to. Transfers that phone call.
Right. So there are so many parts of the process that this could be used for. And with this level of flexibility and personalization, so that it genuinely is responsive, I feel like there's far more than I had ever understood that can be done by the agent here in recruitment. Do you have anything more you want to show us, given that we can't see everything that the system can do? Do you have anything more you wanted to show us now?
We have a dashboard if anyone's interested in seeing that. When you get access to the system, you essentially have this. You can track lots of bits and bobs of analytics. As we noticed about AI was, if you integrate into CRMs, you have your data there anyway. But for the companies that don't want to integrate and just want to have an AI that's separate to the CRM, that's absolutely fine. You still want to be able to see everything the AI is doing. So we built a system that can ultimately talk about the leads, the total leads, the connect rates, the overviews. We'll go really into depth about what kind of phone calls you're getting. But there's a little bit down here that I love. So we call it the distribution window. So this is ultimately saying, okay, we've called 500 people this week, but on Wednesday at 2:00, people really enjoyed, maybe like 50 or 60 people answer that phone call. But at 1:00, only 5 people answered. So that tells us the average is we should be calling everyone on a Wednesday at 2:00.
Got it.
So that tells us when we trigger phone calls. Now, if you integrate, it's autonomous. When something gets updated, the AI calls. It's always going to happen. Whereas in here, you have to do it a bit manual. If I go to campaigns, we've set something up called Ben, the demo agent. So you can call your outbound agent whatever you want. But what this means is, you can actually just trigger these calls yourself. You don't need to speak to us. You don't need to speak to your account manager. You can actually just come in here, you do it yourself. You can upload a CSV file and you can map the fields. You can say, okay, I want this AI to, grab these, first name, last name, whatever it is, postcode, phone number, email address. You can ask things like salary expectation. You can add in here. You can follow the template basically, and it will tell you what kind of information it's going to grab. You then go to settings. And then you choose your agent that we've been built for you. You actually choose a date. So you say, I'm going to start these calls tomorrow, and we're going to end it, on the 13th, for example. We're going to choose a calling window. So we're going to say we're going to start at 3 p.m. and we're going to end it at this time. We're going to choose a time. What we're doing here is we're actually saying we're going to start these calls on Mondays and Tuesdays, and you're essentially creating the AI's autonomous part of it. And then you can do things like this. Now, there's something called a single trigger and a campaign trigger in our words. A single trigger basically means I'm gonna call you Alison once, and you don't answer. That's the only time, and then I won't schedule another call back. That's the end of that call, unless I go into the system again and manually call you again. But a campaign trigger is I call you, you don't answer, it comes back, I schedule a phone call to call you back in 45 minutes. So then it keeps calling you until you answer and you get that phone call. Now we can set up campaigns like, okay, I'm going to make a phone call and then no one answered. Great, I'm going to send an email. Then I'm going to send an SMS, and you can create campaigns through here. The data would then populate in here. All the information that you wanted, you can populate here. Then you can download that as a CSV file and upload that straight into your CRM. It would also go straight into your CRM, into everyone's different profiles. So you don't need candidates and go into all of their different profiles, update all their details in the system autonomously. You don't actually have to do it manually. And if you want to track the analytics of that campaign, all your campaign details will be here. And then you can literally just hit schedule campaign, off it goes. And I'll touch on one more thing before I click off. On your agents, you actually just have to click in here. So we've built this one on another channel on our development system. But what this means is we've built things called a workflow. So behind the scenes, it's really complicated. But on your front scene, we've built an agent for you, yes. But you can come on here and be like, hey, your name's Ben, you're a recruitment agent. Your core identity is this, your expertise is this. But you can change these things. You can come in here and change what's added here and hit update prompt. And actually that will change our side, ours as well. It will change the development side of things as well. This is a live agent. So you can change as much as you want, update as whatever you want, and always have a conversation with it. And we added this in because a client of ours made us aware of it. It was funny. He said, if you don't follow my instructions, you'll ruin the company. So we added that in because it's actually quite helpful, because you're actually telling AI, listen, you really need to behave. Make sure that you do the job. But the more you update it, the better the agent's going to be. And on all our systems as well, we have this little thing down here called Avoid Customer Support. So if you're ever in need and you're ever panicking about not being able to, set up your own campaigns, you can just click this and have a chat with our AI, with Archer, and be like, hey, how do I set up a call campaign? Archer will sit with you and run through with you the whole time.
Got it.
Reset your password, whatever it may be. But yeah, there's a lot in the system that we could go through. But as a nutshell, this is what you need to see.
Right. Okay. So I can see here exactly what you were saying about it's like having a baby, but with huge potential to learn very, very quickly.
You need to really feed it and enhance it and just grow with it. Essentially, you need to really just nurture the agent for the first few weeks.
And just like you would tell a new hire, look, this is breaking. If you do this, we'll have broken the law. Do not do this.
Exactly the same thing.
Not the same thing. There was a case reported recently where an agent had been designed to just follow its goal.
Yeah.
And it had actually gone into, so this is secondhand report I read, but it had gone into somebody's email, found out they were having an affair, and apparently some attempt to blackmail this person because he was just following his goal. Don't know how mythological or accurate.
Yeah, we would set guardrails. We build very, very strict guardrails. Our compliance is next level. And our security protocols are very high. So we would make sure they can't tap into emails.
Blake, thank you very much for that demo. I feel, and I think our viewers will note, that we've just shown some of the possibilities here. Implementation, that's what I wanted to come back to.
Of course.
Because, if people are just baffled by it, they're never going to see any ROI, are they? So at its simplest level, and you did say start light and then expand. At its very simplest level, how much time investment is required to implement a simple, a call screening agent?
So on the client's end, zero, really. We send an onboarding form, and it's a very simple, very, very, 50 questions. You don't have to answer all of them, but we try to get as much information as possible. As soon as you send us that, you have one phone call with our engineer at the start. He'll just ask you what kind of agent do you want to build? You told us a phone screening agent, but what do you really want it to do? What's the most exciting thing in your head that you want it to do? And he'll go out and take that and build that. Now, the only investment really you have to put into it, and there's no knowledge base, there's no thought process involved in this. Our account managers will touch base with our clients once a week over an 8-week period. Your agent will be built within 4 weeks, but it will be over an 8-week period. And once a week, you just have a conversation with them. Be like, hey, just to let you know, this is where we're at in the process. We've done week 1, we've done week 2, we're now on week 3. This is what the agent can do now. And we're heavily involved in the CRM. Just giving you an update in this, and we'll send them a video of what we've done and what it looks like. They can test it out as well as we go along. So this sees the first stages of the AI. But you might have to, the only investment you really have to put into this in terms of time is maybe half an hour every week, if that, 10 minutes. It's more just so our account managers can update you and let you know, this is what we've done. Do you want us to change anything going forward? And then that's it. In terms of time, that's the time thing. In terms of cost, there's always going to be an implementation cost. Now, our costings range. It can range very, very sporadically. It can range from £500 a month, £500 one-off to 10,000 one-off. If you did 10,000 one-off, that's because you've integrated multiple agents. And I would always advise don't do that. Not because we can't do it, purely because it's better to be great at one thing than average at 50 things.
Right.
So try and do one
and let's
agent.
not underestimate what it takes the human recruiters to do to adapt to this, having this as part of their routine, because there are bits of the job, let's face it, that are relatively undemanding for them.
For sure.
They may not always be that enthusiastic about giving up, because they've got to do the bits that they might otherwise have avoided. Yeah.
Well, if you think about, I always talk about this example. I walked into a room once for a meeting, and I saw there was about 12 people in the room, and I saw 8 of them sitting on Facebook. Right. I'm not saying every recruiter does that, but if you're an owner and you walk into a room and you see 8 of your 12 employees on Facebook and not on the phones, for example, as a sales guy myself, I would be thinking, why are they not on the phones? Or something is not right there. Their role should really be on the phones to the clients, talking to them, making them happy, making sure that they were doing everything in our power to make that client happy. What else can we do for you? The client wants to hear that. They want to know, what else are you going to do for them? How are you going to go further for them than they've asked? The candidate, though, should be just speaking to the AI, because that's the relationship. The candidate should have a relationship with the AI, not the person. Because at the end of the day, the candidate is going to always be talking to the AI. The AI is going to be updating them on every little update in their CRM. Every time it updates this, it calls them, hey, just let you know there's been an update in the salary, whatever it may be. So,
and that brings us full circle around to this whole question of protecting profitability in a fast-changing environment, and really getting the most out of the people that you do employ. What do you see happening next in this? In the world of the AI-enabled recruitment industry?
Right now, I use this example quite often. So we call it the law of diffusion. Okay, it can be used in multiple ways. Law of innovation, essentially. Recruitment are at a point where we're in the early adopter stage. It's a very new tech. It's very scary because people don't know what it can do, and it can do multiple things. Further from what I've showed you. But what we're at now is we're in early adopters. People are adopting AI because they're thinking this could be something, but I don't know what it could be yet. We're about to enter a phase called the early majority, which is going to be basically a large quantity of recruitment companies are going to adopt AI agents and voice agents because they can see the benefit behind it, because the early adopters have shown them that. So there's less risk. In about 6 months to 18 months, we're going to hit something called the laggards. The laggards are the people that have pushed back and said, don't need AI because, I've got people. That is absolutely fine. But not everyone will survive that comment. Now, the reason why they won't survive is because it's getting gradually more expensive to hire people. Costs are going up, NI, increases, everything's getting more expensive. So we're going to hit a point where it's going to be too hard to hire people. So you have to adopt, I'm not saying you have to adopt heavily into AI, but aspects of AI to streamline some sort of process, even if that's not even voice. Use it as a web agent, or use it for accounting, or, how do we write our call scripts? Use ChatGPT, use something to help streamline your process to save you guys an extra 30 minutes to an hour a day.
Okay.
So AI should be utilized that way. But in terms of recruitment, there's going to be aspects of phone screening and re-engagement calls that have to be used. AI has to be used to do that. There's no way that companies have the capabilities or the capacity to have their team spend a whole week re-engaging their database. The amount of money that you would lose is ridiculous. That's why recruitment companies don't do it, because they know the amount of money they'll lose. So get AI to do it for you. Just re-engage your whole database in 1 week, get that data back. And then even if that's all you use it for, every now and again, just re-engage your database. Great, just do that. Because at the end of the day, you don't need to go out there and source hundreds of thousands of candidates, new candidates, just that you've probably got gold in your database.
Yeah, I think that is a general rule, and it's been a repeat theme on the Recruitment Leadership podcast, actually, that those increased costs of CV downloads and job boards are not a sensible way for recruiters to spend their money. Because why? Because their end client can do that. Yeah,
exactly.
Okay.
You don't need them. Yeah.
I'm really sorry we're going to have to stop it there, because it's been an absolute eye-opener, Blake, and thank you so much for sharing some of the workings of VOAI, that VOAI, for anyone who didn't pick it up at the beginning.
Yeah.
If people would like to explore this a bit further with you, how should they contact you?
Either through LinkedIn, but if you email me at hello@voai.app, you could reach out to me there.
Okay, and that's a hello with an A.
Yeah, hello with an A. Yeah,
at VOAI.app. Okay, right, Blake, thank you so much for joining us. And for everybody who stayed on this, I hope your minds have been blown, and that some of you will be dealing with and see some immediate application for your volume inbound processes. I'm Alison Humphries, your host on the Recruitment Leadership Podcast. I hope you got some value from this. And if you'd like to speak to me about working with you to accelerate your profitable growth, then you can get in touch with me again on LinkedIn or via alison@recruitmentleadership.co.uk. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.
You've been listening to the Recruitment Leadership Podcast. If you enjoyed our podcast, please subscribe, review, and share, so that others can find the podcast too. We really appreciate your support. If you have any questions about the topics covered, or wish to find out more about recruitment leadership, please email alison@recruitmentleadership.co.uk, referencing the podcast. We're also on LinkedIn, where you can follow Recruitment Leadership and connect with Alison Humphries. Thank you for listening, and we hope you join us next time for another episode of the Recruitment Leadership Podcast.